So we got storms rolling in. You can kind of see right where the front is. It's right over the barn there. But you see it coming in. And so last night I had this happen. If you can see, dang it, sorry, right there, that is a burst hydraulic line, and it goes way down there and it goes back up into there. And how I'm gonna get that end back up in there, I do not know. That's what I gotta try to figure out. Because it's not one of these two hoses. It goes into that fitting right there. This throttle, the speed. I don't know how I can get at that son of a gun. I don't know if I gotta take that controller out and drop it, meaning this controller right here. I think I might have to drop it because that hose goes in from around the back side of it there, and I can't get at it from here. And I'm not taking that fuel tank out, so I think I might have to take this thing out of here. Oh, I feel the raindrops. Okay, well, I'm not gonna figure it out now. All right, but that's my mission, is figure out how to get that hose out of there. All right, it's starting to rain. I gotta get this thing buttoned up. Hey, it is a hot day out. It's like our first major heat of the summer. It's like 90 plus out. So here I am on my Angry Pumpkin. And I think, as I showed you guys before, I'll have to find the video, that when last time I was out chomping, I got that nice pop in this hydraulic hose, which goes into this speed control valve here. But to get that to that hose, you got to take that speed control valve out. So I had to like drill out the set screw to get the handle off of it so I could drop it down through. Now that I have it dropped down through, I can't get it out of this little hole because these hoses are stopping me. So now that means I got to take these hoses off, and I hope to God they don't jack up. So I don't feel like replacing a bunch of frickin' hoses. They're pretty good shape, but you know, these fittings are old, and you never know, man, once you have to crack something, what the dope is going to be. So I'll have to mark these and see if I can't get these off so I can get the hose, which is back here, off of this thing. Undo, undo, to undo, to redo, to redo, to redo. Jigsaw puzzles, gotta love it. But I just cannot get this thing out of there, given the constraints. So off they come. All right, that's an 11/16 on this hydraulic line here. It's coming off pretty easy, so I got it broke loose, started threading it down, but I'll have to take this other one off too. Unfortunately, it's spinning pretty easy, so I think I shouldn't have much issue with it. I don't know if I have any plugs for this thing though. I'll have to go see if I have some hydraulic fittings or plugs for it. Keep shit from getting in it. There, that's the hose I need. Off, should say. Got some leakage here, but I guess that's what happens. All right, so that hose comes all the way up here. Yeah. I think it's this bottom one here. And it is. That's the brake. All right, it's this hose right here. All right, well, that's my mission now. That's it. This is my air hose. It's this hose right here, obviously. It's a long hose. But up underneath there is like years of crud and crap that was just falling all over me. That shit kind of sucks. But it goes from that valve that was back there up to this pump here. And I think, yeah, it's kind of a pump, I think, a directional valve or something like that. I gotta get some sandwich bags to at least try to protect this stuff until I can get that hose replaced. Crazy, man, it sucks being underneath that thing, all that crap falling on me. I mean, it's just nasty, 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 nasty. New hydraulic line. Right on. But first, I gotta go look at this valve because I had to drill that set screw out of it. And I think I have to retap it here. I must retap that. Sure, try to keep any crud out of there. Now, I'm not mending a thread, I'm creating a thread. Let's put a new thread in this thing here. That did not cut much thread. I wonder if I'm gonna have to go to a bigger set screw. Man, I think I might have to go to a larger set screw. Yeah, it tightens up. So the little hole is peeping up. Thread this down, and that should lock that in. And then I have better off than I was before. Got a handle on it now, rather than the nub. Good score. That's what I wanted. Back in business. I ordered some stainless hardware for this bugger. It hasn't got here yet, but that doesn't mean I can't put it in. I'll just swap the bolts out when I get them. Okay. So we're partially home here, my fine feathered friends. And that's just sketchy to me. A hole right there. But I don't even know if that line's running. If you know what I mean. I'm not even sure I'm getting hydraulics through there because that direction ain't happening. Let me crap down there. I gotta get these boxes out of here. They're a pain in my ass. Which means I gotta put the crap together. Okay. I don't know if it's too tight up on the... Nope. That'll work. Don't do as I do, just do as I say. See what happens here if I fire this up now. Let's see what happens here. fricker. Break these wires. That's all I need to do. Son of a bitch.
I was lucky. I just got sprayed all in my face checking this out. Fortunately, I had safety glasses on, but it got the camera, as you can see, on top of my head, my face. Very lucky indeed.
God bless it. That bugger is what came loose, and I think that's what just squirted out, because I don't see a hose burst. Son of a beehive. I think this thing cannot be that slow. I think it's got to be up a bit. It's twice now I've turned this thing down and a hose burst or something's popped the fluid. Son of a bitch. Alright. Well, I know what the problem is. It's this fitting going into the hydraulic motor. So I am gonna have to take that whole assembly off right here. Son of a beehive. A little worse than thought. The pump housing is cracked, the end cap. That's the problem. Son of a beehive. Seems like anytime I turn the pressure or turn the speed down, which I think increases the pressure, it bursts the hose and it bursts this. So it's telling me, man, that without this thing without the hydraulics, the full system being operational, it's probably not such a good thing, because that is running too much pressure. And there's supposed to be a feedback, but I don't know if that's working or not. An internal pressure relief, but I don't know if that's working or not. But all I know is that housing is cracked. Again, without water on the lens. Sorry about that. Still blurry. This thing's so dirty. But that housing is cracked. It's not just that fitting, it's the housing. Trying to, I'm in the middle of this thing, so that's better. Yeah, this thing is cracked. So that's got to come off. I don't know if I should take the whole pump motor off or just that cap. I think the whole thing has to kind of come off personally. Because I don't want to like disassemble this thing on the motor. First thing though is I got to get this big monster off of there. Out. I gotta get this covered up in here, but out. Hose is disconnected, and I've got to get some baggies over this stuff to keep it from getting dirt. But I'll show you what the catastrophe was. I don't know if I just did this tightening this fitting up too tight, or if it was that misadjustment on the pressure, but as you can see, that booger is cracked all the way through. That'll leave a mark. All right, so for my quacked up pump here, I needed to get this like flange diameter measured, the distance between the mount holes, the length of the shaft to the mounting face, the length of the shaft to the base of the mounting plate, and then also the count of the splines. So that's what I needed to get. See if I can find a mate to this without having to go through Vermeer. And I haven't got much of a response from them as it is. And two, anyway, but it looks like this is a clockwise rotation. Going this way, not counter, so it's a CW. All right, folks, I will catch you up here. It's been a long minute with things. Things around here are the same, but changed a little bit. You know, had a massive storm come through and rip out a bunch of my pine trees and crushed into my new green pole barn garage and did some other damage, and that's still underway. I blew the pump. I lost this camera for the longest time. I didn't know where I put it. Anyway, with that said, I've tried to fix the Vermeer, the chipper, right? I think you'll see is blew a hose on it, replaced the hose, then I spewed a bunch of hydraulic fluid, and it's because this housing got all cracked. And so then I played hell trying to find that pump, to give you the saga now of the pump. So Vermeer, never got a response from Vermeer on the replacement, but I know it was going to be expensive. So what I did is I took the specifications of this pump and found an alternative. But unfortunately, while this has the same technical specs, same flange, same shaft, you know, flange is the same, this inner hub is the same, shaft is the same, you can see with its configuration, it's a much larger pump. And while it fit in there, that caused problems. Just the mass of it being so much more massive pump. And then also, what wound up being a problem is you can see the size difference, the fittings, and then also that's the inlet, that's the outlet, which is the same on this side, but this is how this pump mounted in the machine. So now the inlet is on this side over here, and that created quite a problem for me. The hose wasn't long enough, so I wound up having to get a bunch of different fittings to get this to work. And I went through a whole issue with fittings, because I bought fittings predicated on what I thought this pump was going to have the same size fittings, and it didn't. So I have a whole box full of fittings that I've gone through. These ones are now the correct ones, but what you don't see here is a box literally full of all different fittings. So old pump broke, replacement pump that I took some time to spec out and find, tried to get it to fit, wouldn't fit, had to go back, get a bunch of different fittings. The initial fittings didn't even fit the ports. I got the fittings that fit the port, hose wouldn't fit lengthwise, had to buy some adapter fittings. And then at the end of the day, when I finally got everything hooked up, fired the chipper up, nothing would pump. I didn't get any fluid. So I thought, I don't know what the deal is, but there's an air leak, there's something somewhere. I wound up, long story short, I wound up getting a replacement pump. This is pump number 2 now, all right? But it is this pump. It is a replacement for that pump. Same pump. So I should not have any excuses, and I have all the like original sized fittings to go with it. So I shouldn't have any issues as to why this pump will not work. I don't know if you got to prime these things or what, but we'll find out. So 3 things that I had to get for this were 3 things that could go wrong. Original pump, tried to save some money and spec out a different pump. That was a fail. All these fittings were a fail. Went back and had to go buy the original pump again, which this pump, I could have got it for $258, but the guy that helped me inspect it out, it wound up being $400. This pump, $800. So trying to save some money here, I'm now into basically $1,200 between these 2 pumps. That's not to mention now all the cost I have into these fittings that I don't have any use for. These are just, there's a box full of them back there. You'll see some more on the chipper. So that's this. So then pump fittings. Then the next thing that came along is there was an O-ring on this pump. And I mic'd out the O-ring, which it's in here. I mic'd out the O-ring and could not find an O-ring that was exact to what I pulled off. So I don't know if that one got wore, mushed, changed its dimensions. But I mean, I O-ringed, I mic'd this thing. This one, I mic'd it a gazillion times. And got the consistent numbers. So then I started into an O-ring situation, which wound up being that's like a dash 236. So, but these dash 236s, all of them have a slight variation to them. So now I went on to an O-ring debacle. Here's one packet of O-rings. Here's another packet of O-rings. Yet another pack of O-rings. And lastly, another pack of O-rings. So they're all slightly different, all dash 236s, but their dimensions are noted slightly different. So now I got to see which one best fits the situation. So that's what I'm doing now, is trying to figure out which O-ring to use for this thing, and I'm gonna do that right now. I think this one here is going to be the closest. I'm not going to break out my mic, but it's a slightly larger diameter, which isn't such a bad thing, but it's not as big as the increase as these others. I would have to, because they're all like dash 236s. I'd have to go back and look. So it's a slightly larger diameter, but not as big as those others. And as you can see, this one I think it got walled out because it's not even fitting in the groove where this one fits on there. And it actually does not have is not as tight as these others over here. This doesn't even fit. I bought this just off of a guess that it didn't have any dimensions on it, but it was for Cummins, and I thought, who knows, maybe. Because the problem is this O-ring is not in Vermeer's or not in Cummins parts or manuals at all, but it was there. So this was there. I'm gonna replace it, and I think I'm gonna use this one right there from this pack is going to be what I use. So these guys, actually I got one more to look at. I didn't look at that. That's the original. This is my potential replacement. And then there's this one, so let me try this one out here. Here's this box of fittings that I got. Literally a box of fittings, and none of those support the proper configuration. And then this was a bag of fittings, which I think do support the all I needed is one, but for some reason they were cheaper to buy like 25 of them, which is typical for me. So I think I'm doing a test fit on these things right now. My 90 fit. Now this shouldn't really fit on here. And it did. Alright. So that fits. Okay, I'll catch you up here. Got the pump in. And one of the other things I failed to mention is this is an aluminum housing that sits underneath the alternator. That top bolt hole for the mount, that top flange mounting bolt hole there, the threads got boogered in this aluminum housing, so I had to chase those threads out and use a longer bolt. That was a pain in the ass, but it's mounted. I got an O-ring in there, got some gasket sealant tack on, so I got the unit mounted. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting on the fittings, and this is a 6801-1210 O-ring fitted on that side, 90 degree. So then I had to do like a, I think this is like a 8 and then an 8 to a 6, and the reason I needed to do that is that extends it out, because you'll see the T goes on there. So I did buy the exact adapter, or this is a 12 to a 10 and this is a 10 to an 8 and 8 to a 6. I did get a 10 to a 6, but I'd have to find a long one or something, because this has to extend out. This top one has to extend out past that 90, so the out hose, which is this one, clears. So this is the intake input, and that's the out going to the valve and then to the drum. But you can see what I had to do here. This was some of the others. So I had a 90 coming off that other pump, and then I had all this rigmarole crap to get it down, because that hose was not long enough to fit all the way up to here. So I had to drop it down, and somewhere in here all that crap sucked, because I couldn't get this thing to run. The engine runs, but I couldn't get pressure. So I don't know if you got to prime these things, and what I had rigged up would have worked, but I'm trying this. Hopefully I'll get a pressure. All right, new pump, new fittings, one new hose. My fear now is it's going to leak through this old hose there. Let's see what happens. Fire it up. Oh man, I hope this works. I'm gonna put you on my head. All right, let's hope this works. This has been such a frickin' pain in my ass. Not seen anything leaking. Oh man. Right on. Woo! Now we gotta get it out of here. Maybe I can bend that arm back just to get this door open. Gotta get it closed again though. I'm afraid of opening it. and it not getting closed again. Had the estimates come out, so I gotta just get the builder scheduled to, I guess they're just gonna replace the entire roof up there, because there's more holes in it over there and back there. There's just shit everywhere. Storm killed me. All the pine trees now are completely gone. I do not have a single pine tree left. Back behind, all gone. No pine forest anymore. They're coming back to do the stump grinding and all as well, so. Okay. And of course, my chipper was down when I needed it the most. But I endeavored to persevere, and I only bought like 30 fittings I don't need, 50 O-rings I don't need, one pump I don't need, all in an effort to save money on the front end. I should have just replaced it as was. I'd be probably probably $700 ahead if I just done everything the way it is right now from the beginning. But nope, I didn't. Another lesson learned. You think at my stage of life that I would have known better, but anyway, I'm happy. It's functioning.